Hello and welcome to our channel. If you're fascinated by the hidden stories of history, the power of science, and the minds that changed our world, for better or worse, then you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the incredible yet controversial story of a scientist who saved billions, but was also one of the most hated figures in history. A man whose discovery revolutionized agriculture, yet also played a devastating role in chemical warfare and even the Holocaust. Yes, we're talking about Fritz Haber, the scientist whose genius fed the world but also fueled destruction. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with fellow history and science lovers, and don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing stories every week. Now, let's unravel the paradox of Fritz Haber, the man who gave life, yet brought death. Fritz Haber, the scientist who saved billions but was hated by the world. Science has always been a double-edged sword, a force capable of both saving and destroying lives. Few figures embody this paradox more than Fritz Haber, a man whose groundbreaking discovery of artificial nitrogen fixation helped sustain the modern world's food supply, yet whose innovations also played a key role in some of the darkest chapters of human history. His invention of the Haber-Bosch process revolutionized agriculture, making it possible to feed billions. However, during World War I, he turned his expertise toward chemical warfare, developing deadly gases that would claim countless lives on the battlefield. In a cruel twist of fate, one of his creations, Zyklon B, was later used in the Holocaust to exterminate millions, including his own Jewish relatives. Haber's story is one of ambition, genius, and devastating moral consequences. He was a man who sought to elevate his nation and humanity through science, only to become a symbol of both salvation and destruction. Was he a hero or a villain? Or was he merely a scientist caught in the ethical dilemmas of his time? This essay explores the complex and haunting legacy of Fritz Haber, tracing his rise from a young chemist to a figure of historical controversy. At the dawn of the 20th century, humanity stood on the edge of a dire catastrophe. The population was growing at an unprecedented rate, yet the ability to produce food was failing to keep pace. The problem was nitrogen, an essential element for plant growth. Though 78% of the Earth's atmosphere consists of nitrogen gas, plants cannot absorb it directly. Traditionally, nitrogen was replenished in the soil through natural fertilizers like manure or bird guano, but these sources were rapidly depleting. British chemist Sir William Crookes delivered a dire warning in 1898, predicting that within a few decades, global food shortages could lead to the deaths of half the world's population. Without a new way to fertilize crops, mass starvation seemed inevitable. The challenge facing scientists was clear. They needed to find a way to extract nitrogen from the air and convert it into a form that plants could absorb. Enter Fritz Haber. Born in 1868 in Breslau, modern-day Wrocław, Poland, Haber grew up in a Jewish family and later converted to Christianity to assimilate into German society. He was ambitious, intelligent, and deeply patriotic, qualities that would shape both his triumphs and his downfall. By the early 1900s, Haber had set his sights on solving the nitrogen crisis. He theorized that under the right conditions, nitrogen gas could be combined with hydrogen to form ammonia, NH3, a compound that plants could use as fertilizer. However, there was a significant challenge. The nitrogen bond was one of the strongest in chemistry, making it incredibly difficult to break apart. Despite the efforts of many scientists, no one had been able to accomplish this feat on an industrial scale. Haber's determination led him to a groundbreaking discovery in 1909. Working in a small lab in Karlsruhe, Germany, he subjected a mixture of nitrogen and hydrogen gas to extreme heat, 500 degrees Celsius, and pressure using an iron-based catalyst. The result? For the first time in human history, ammonia was artificially synthesized. This process, known as the Haber-Bosch process, would go on to revolutionize global agriculture. Within a few years, Germany's BASF chemical company had industrialized the method, producing massive quantities of ammonia-based fertilizers. As a result, crop yields skyrocketed. The consequences of Haber's invention were nothing short of miraculous. Agricultural production increased exponentially, preventing mass starvation. The global population surged from 1.6 billion in 1900 to over 8 billion today. Today, nearly 50% of the nitrogen in the human body comes from food grown using Haber's process. In 1918, Haber was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his contribution to solving the world's food crisis. By all accounts, he had secured his place as one of history's greatest benefactors. But Haber's story did not end there. The same discovery that had saved billions would soon become the foundation for mass destruction. When World War I erupted in 1914, Germany was locked in a brutal struggle against Britain, France, and Russia. Facing a prolonged war, the German military turned to its best scientific minds for help. Haber, a devoted patriot, saw an opportunity to serve his country. He realized that the same ammonia-based chemistry used for fertilizer could also be used to manufacture high-powered explosives. Thanks to his process, Germany could now produce weapons on an industrial scale. But Haber's contributions to the war did not stop there. He became obsessed with chemical warfare as a means to secure German victory. In 1915, he personally oversaw the first ever large-scale poison gas attack at the Second Battle of Ypres. His team deployed 168 tons of chlorine gas, which formed a deadly greenish-yellow cloud that drifted into enemy trenches. The results were horrifying. 5,000 Allied soldiers died within minutes, suffocating as their lungs filled with acid. 10,000 more were left permanently blinded or disabled. Despite international laws banning chemical warfare, Haber celebrated the attack as a success. To him, science was a tool to serve the nation, regardless of its moral implications. Not everyone shared Haber's enthusiasm. His wife, Clara Immerwahr, was a brilliant chemist herself and a strong opponent of chemical warfare. She saw her husband's work as a betrayal of science's purpose, to improve human life, not destroy it. On the night of Haber's return from the battlefield, she took her own life, using his military revolver. Many believe she could no longer live with the shame of her husband's actions. Haber, however, did not even stay for her funeral. The next day, he left for the front lines to continue his work in chemical warfare. After the war, Haber's reputation suffered. Germany had lost, and chemical weapons were condemned worldwide. Still, he continued his research, developing ZyklonB, a powerful pesticide. Ironically, decades later, the Nazis, who had expelled Haber from Germany due to his Jewish ancestry, used ZyklonB to exterminate over 1 million Jews in the gas chambers of Auschwitz, including members of Haber's own extended family. The very chemicals he helped create had become the instrument of one of history's greatest atrocities. Haber fled Germany in 1933, heartbroken by his exile and the rise of the Nazi regime. He sought refuge in various countries before dying in 1934, alone and in poor health. His final years were filled with regret and disillusionment. He had dedicated his life to science and his country, only to be cast aside and see his inventions turned into weapons of genocide. Haber's story presents an uncomfortable question. Can we separate scientific discovery from its consequences? Should scientists be held responsible for how their inventions are used? His legacy is a haunting reminder that science is neither good nor evil. It is how we choose to use it that defines its impact. Was Haber a hero or a villain? Or was he simply a scientist who, like so many before and after him, failed to see the moral cost of progress? Today, as we grapple with new ethical dilemmas in science, AI, nuclear energy, genetic engineering, Haber's life remains a cautionary tale. Innovation can save billions, but in the wrong hands, it can destroy just as many.